Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel. I think we need to talk about Manchester United's midfield based on the comments that were left on our match reaction after the Man United versus Everton game. Plus, Ruben Amorim, Bruno Fernandes, Ugarte and Mainoo all had something to say on that midfield situation. We want to know your thoughts today as usual, so get involved, have your say in the comments section, and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. Don't forget to smash that like button as well, please. Your first thoughts, overall thoughts?
Well, waking up this morning, it's clear not everything in the Man United camp is rosy. The manager got on the issue, the players got on the issue, and it's an issue we all know about, and it's the midfield. Last night, at times, it was reminiscent of games last year. Outfought at times, cut open at times, and then when you look at the midfield of Everton, I looked at Garner, ex-youth, ex-Man United player. He was dictating play. He was bypassing the midfield. He was getting past the midfield. It's the same old again. But you have to be positive, and the manager knows it, and Bruno Fernandes knows it.
Are you positive?
I am positive.
Give us a smile. Let's see it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I am positive because they are acknowledging it, and you would worry if they didn't acknowledge it. I mean, you look at the pre-season, it's been very good. Ruben Amorim says it's been excellent. And it has been excellent in many ways. But that issue again, the midfield, it's open, too open.
Yeah, I do want to get into a snippet of what Ruben Amorim said to MUTV after the game. And he said, "We lack pace in midfield against Everton, and that's a concern. Ugarte and Mainoo did well to recover, but we need to improve our intensity from the start." And it is something that we did see from the start against Bournemouth. A lot of one-touch passing.
Well, I look at West Ham, and they gave us the time. So it was okay for the midfield. It was okay on the eye, but they were mainly defending. They weren't a great attacking side, which I didn't expect anyway. But you look at Bournemouth, they were too open, which suited the Man United game, the game plan, the way they came out. They caught Bournemouth out and they couldn't recover. But with Everton, they seemed to be stronger. They seemed to be more direct, and they didn't wilt when they went a goal down like Bournemouth did. So for me, there's a lot of work to do in that midfield. Didn't help that Ugarte probably had one of his bad games.
Rokov says, "Don't worry, lads, it's just one iffy performance. The two DM pivots need support from the wing-backs as well, and offensive midfielders. The formation does work on a whole, but the defence and the attack, I think you went on to again, mate." And I do want to get on to a little piece he did say with the Daily Mail, like noting about that midfield performance and the intensity, but he said he will address these issues once they get back from the actual tour as well, so it gives them more time as well.
The only way you can address these issues, because they're not going to change, it's the same personnel, is bring somebody in. People have been screaming for it, and it does need somebody in there, but I don't see how we're going to do it. And to talk about it now seems strange to me at this late stage. It should have been addressed. We brought Kuna and Mbumo in. We had them. It should have been sorted. It was clear to everyone the midfield was always going to be a problem. The same players are there. It had to be addressed. Now he's talking about possibly looking at it and addressing it. Bruno says the same, thinks we need one or two more players to come in.
Yeah, a lot of my first thoughts on people's comments coming into the chat right now is they want us to move away from signing a striker, and they think the focus should actually be in getting a midfielder. But what type of midfielder do you want bringing in? Do you want that like number 6, that defensive midfielder, or more that number 8 player who's more box to box? What's your preference?
I'm not too sure. I just don't see how this midfield's going to work. I don't think it's just one midfielder you need. I look at the use of Bruno, what Ruben's doing, and I'm not convinced, and I don't think many people out there are convinced. I don't like Bruno there. And then you look at Casemiro, you look at the other players. I'm not sure what's going on with Mainoo. I think Mainoo suffered last night because of Ugarte having a poor game. It's a friendly. I'm not going overboard or too critical on it. It does happen, and I'd rather it happen in a friendly game. So for me, I think it's the use of Bruno. For me, I looked at last season, and lots of people discussed it. Bruno there in the midfield, when things get a little bit heated, he seems to go missing, running around, and doesn't stick to what he's doing. So for me, it's crowded in that midfield, but it's not crowded, which sounds mad, because there isn't the dominant player in there. You've got to get one in, and I will go along with it now, and I do think the midfield now is the priority instead of a striker, because it exposed it yesterday. Everton had 2 poor games in the build-up to that United game. They got better. So going forward for Everton, all looks good, because Everton defending last year and everything else like that, United have to change. They can't be in the same position, and they have to improve. Well, it's not improved on the eye, that midfield. The same faults are there, and it is a big worry. And I did see all the comments this morning, and it's a massive worry. I was a little bit of taken aback, but how many people are turning round now and saying, forget the striker, it's a midfield, because we're just going to get, you might score some goals with a striker, okay, but they're going to come running through the midfield, and Ruben Amorim knows that.
Do you think Bruno, because he's talked a lot about control, Amaring, in that midfield in terms of build-up play, do you think Bruno actually gives us more control when he's dropped back into that midfield too? I don't think he actually does that unless he's playing first-time balls or one-touch passing. And when he's taking his time and he's dwelling on the ball, just like the other midfielders, to be honest, like Ugarte or Mainoo, it slows it down, the intensity drops, and it needs to be quicker for me.
Listen, Bruno in that position, okay, where Amaring looks as though he's going to play him, okay, he hasn't got control. He hasn't got control. We've seen that last year. Disappeared from lots of games. Might have 5-10 minutes here. Might come to the rescue in the last 20 minutes. But he doesn't have control himself. He goes wandering, talks a lot, raises his arms and all that when things aren't going right. So when Bruno talks about control, it's more control we want from Bruno. And I'm sure Ruben Amorim is drumming it into him. He needs to be more controlled in that midfield.
A bit more discipline maybe in his positional
It's the same.
sense. Yeah.
Control, discipline, same words, same meaning.
No, I do totally agree with that. He did highlight as well, Bruno, a little bit of a snippet of what he said last night. We were a little bit lazy, and we won't have to avoid that, because the laziness you can pay at any moment. It's improving though. It's not where we want to be. I don't want to have a dig at anyone, but I think the club is doing its best they can in terms of the financial situations they talk about. So to me, is he kind of hinting there as well about bringing a midfielder in as well this summer?
Oh, listen, that's
his even want for a midfielder.
Well, that's a manager's job, you know, and I think he's using Bruno to bring that message out as well, because Bruno did say we need 1 or 2 more players, and it clearly is for the midfield. But Ruben, they're not his players. They're not his players. He's trying to put the pieces into the jigsaw, and at the moment it's not fixing, and that's a big worry. We've got 1 more friendly left next Saturday, early kickoff against Fiorentina at Old Trafford. Now, can he do it? What has surprised me, he's not tried, which I thought a pre-season tour is for surprises. I thought the use of Toby Collier wasn't enough. I've not really seen him. I'm not sure how many minutes he's got, but I thought Toby Collier, before his injury, I seen him, I thought he gets about the pitch, he gets his foot stuck in there, and he's got a good engine on him. So I am surprised that a young player there who's enthusiastic, who's got the strength, and as far as I'm concerned, is going to make it in football. I thought he would have used him. So that is surprising when you see how overrun at times we have been.
Have you got to look at it as well, put some context into it, that you're seeing a few players, especially last night, who were way short, really, of match fitness and that sharpness, especially when you're starting with the likes of Cunha, who missed the game the previous because of fatigue, with what the manager said. And Mbeumo was also, he was puffing after 30 minutes, when you could see it blowing out of him. Yeah,
that's understandable with Mbeumo. Cunha did not look fit, did not look match fit, which is surprising, to be honest with you. Yes. fatigue in the last game. Didn't play one even on the bench. But I think this is what it's all about. So when he gets back to Carrington, gets the players in, gets that game out of the way on Saturday, he will know. Well, he should know what's needed. But some of these players aren't up to scratch. And that's what pre-season's all about. Yeah. So you can't be too negative on it. But what it is, I think the fan reaction to last night is it's glaringly obvious what the problem is from last year is still there. Yes, players have improved. They look fitter. They look as though they know what they're doing. If you look at Dorgu on the left, when he came on, he got into it there clearly. Delo on the left, that doesn't work. So for me, Delo, just a squad player. But there is things there, and I did point out in the match reaction, Lenny Oro, for me, the most improved player from last year in this pre-season. But there is an understanding in the team of what they have to do. But it gets let down because they get cut open, because they're wide open at times and they're not strong enough in that midfield. So there is the problem from last year. There is a little bit of time to fix it. Will it get fixed? Well, for me, it was glaringly obvious what the problem was last year. We said it virtually every game about the midfield being wide open. The fans were on it, and the fans have... Last night after the game, they've woke up this morning and they have gone right at it. We're not going to get anything, according to all the comments and other things I've seen out there. We're not going to get anything unless that midfield is sorted out. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure whether it's one or two players or what type of player needs to be brought in right now to help tighten that midfield up, because that's what it needs, and it's not.
So by the sounds of it, and a few of us out there already in the chat, you're wanting that midfielder in as the priority over a striker right now. So does that mean you're confident, if it's the right word to use, that you're happy with Cunha and Bumo, Bruno Fernandes, Højlund up top, and then rotating with other players like Mount, Ahmad in then 10 roles next season? Yeah,
you've got to be confident. You've brought two players in who are Premier League proven. And they score goals, so you can't be knocking that. But what I'm not confident, and what United fans aren't confident about, is the main issue, and that's the midfield. Can it get fixed? But there's a worry. It's glaringly obvious to everyone, and United haven't fixed it. And everyone who seems to be a number one target isn't really the number one priority, making sure that midfield is solid. And it's not solid. Doesn't matter how he rotates and gets different people in. I don't think he has a clue how he's going to set up against Arsenal. I just don't, because I don't believe he believes these players can do what he requires of them. So it does need someone bringing in.
I mean, a lot of people in the chat last night, a few getting involved today, are actually edging Casemiro above Ugarte and starting that defensive midfield role. And I do actually agree with some comments. I thought he was really good, Casemiro, against Bournemouth. I know it's pre-season, etc., but he did look good.
Yeah, he looked
compared
good.
to what you've seen of Ugarte last night against Everton.
Yeah, but he did look good. There's no two ways about it. But you go and look at what Bournemouth were too open and they got caught out, and he was able to do what he did, Casemiro, without running too much. Look, Casemiro was a great player. Yes, he can do a job, but he can't do a job for 90 minutes. He can't start a game. He's got no legs. That's clear to everybody. Yes, he looks fit. The old squad looks fit.
I get that, but with Casemiro, what I've noticed, his one-touch passing, his first-time balls were a lot better if you're comparing him in what you've seen with Ugarte on pre-season, and that's where Man United are best, when the intensity is high and it's all that one-touch passing to get the ball quickly up the pitch.
What Casemiro did, it was risk and reward, and he got away with it against Bournemouth. There was balls he was just touching, hoping there was somebody there where they should be. And luckily for him, they were. So I've seen a few good balls, a few little partnerships working along. But what they did against Bournemouth, they were tighter, okay? And they were tighter because Bournemouth were open. So them little touches and all that were there. But the intensity of the Premier League is too much, where that risk reward from Casemiro doesn't pay off. That's how I see it.
Lollipop says Mount is an interesting one. Craftaholic says Hoyland was poor in my opinion last night. I mean, I'm not too sure about that, mate, to be honest. But James from our members club says, sorry, striker is the priority. Last 2 seasons we have struggled for goals. If we don't get a striker, we will struggle again for the 3rd season. Simply Dread says, Dorgu and Mount, best combo. Right hand side though is Dodger.
Well, I turned round, a few of you might remember, I turned round, right, and said Mason Mount, it's going to be interesting what happens. And Mason Mount, his future at Manchester United was under the microscope, and there was big problems for him if he didn't get through this pre-season, and he clearly has got through it, fitness and everything, so fair play to him. So it's got a puzzle. Where does he play Mason Mount? Where does he play Mainoo? Where does he play Bruno? People are criticising Mainoo that he hasn't got the pace and all that. Well, the thing is, you won't have the pace if the people who are next to you are losing the ball and getting caught, and then the other team skipping away. So unfortunately, I looked at Mainoo last night. He was doing more work than he should have been doing because of Ugarte being clumsy, and that's what he was.
But the thing that I did notice last night was the actual back 3 or back 5 when it's the wing backs tucked in. I thought they were at least 5 or 10 yards further back than what they should have been. And surely that then contributes to the lack of intensity as well, because then when they're pushing up further up, the likes of Ugarte and Mainoo, like you're especially seeing against Bournemouth, they push higher up as well and press.
Yeah, but our forwards never pushed forward. They never closed down the goalkeeper and all that. They played sitting back, okay? So that's why the defenders were back. That was the thing, because they knew the long ball was going to come.
From Everton.
From Everton.
Yeah.
That's how they play. And they decided, let's change tactics from the previous games. We won't have the intensity in their penalty box, try to close them, stop them coming out with the ball, because we know exactly what Everton were doing. But they outmuscled us. So it didn't work for 90 minutes. In periods of the game, it was fine. But the strength and the directness from Everton sort of overpowered and got United in a bit of a 2-8, to be honest with you.
If Manchester United don't sign a midfielder in this transfer window, who is your preferred options in that midfield too? Is it Ugarte and Mainoo, or do you put Bruno Fernandes in there? Casemiro starts. I want to know your opinions on that. Marcus Stevenson from our members club says a striker and a number 6 before a goalkeeper. Richard Club Sport says Mount. I've always said a fully fit Mount is absolute class. If he stays fit, he'll be a brilliant player.
Yeah, it's just where you're going to put him. Who's going to be out? And that's the thing. It's okay saying Mason Mount's in there, but there's people already there. We've got too many people in one position and not enough for the right position. That's how I see it.
But based on what you've seen already in the pre-season, I know Cunha, he wasn't available in the previous game due to fatigue, and Bumo's only just come in. But for me right now, based on performances, Mount starts against Arsenal. How can you not start him?
Well, I think Mason Mount will start against Fiorentina. And I did say the other day, that Fiorentina is the game to watch. That's the priority game, where there's none of that getting caught out slow and everything else like that. I think he will put out his strongest side, what he thinks he's going to start against Arsenal. So it's a must-win game against Fiorentina. Players have to step up. So for me, really looking forward to it, because I see that as the starting 11. And I don't know what the starting 11 will be, because I've seen players being put in positions what they don't normally play in. I mentioned Delo before, left wing back. What was he doing there? I don't know. And then he's the right back. I don't know. But for me, I look at Ahmad. Is he really suited for that position where he keeps putting him? I don't think so. That's me personally. Quite a few other people aren't happy with that. Some people are. But hey, it's...
For me, I just think he's the best in what we've got in the squad, especially in terms of attack. And obviously, he's not the complete player yet. Ahmad is far from it, even playing in a number 10 role. But I just think what he gives you on the pitch, he gets you off your seat. There's going to be creativity there. And for me, I'd rather have him in that position over Delo or Mazraoui. I like Mazraoui really in a back 3 where Lenny Yoro's been playing, but for me, you can rotate them throughout the season, Yoro and Mazraoui.
Yeah, but he's not in a position when you're playing like United did when they're playing further back.
Yeah.
when the forwards are playing further back, when the defence is playing further back, he tends to come back and he tends to pass it back. It did get in a mix-up with Yoro. That happened a couple of times. There's no out ball. The only time was early on, I thought, where the ball was moved quickly and without looking, it was kicked into space on the right where Ahmad was going into it. But when United play too far back, what do they do? It's like a counter-attacking football. And we do get caught out and we do get swamped. There's positions, this sort of like, this needs to improve with every player, But the tactics last night were different and it shone a light on what the main problem was. And like I said, it's reminiscent of last year. It's not gone away and it has to be fixed. And, you know, how does Ruben fix it? Well, it's got to be a new player. But there's no sign of it. That's the thing. There's no sign of it. You would have thought at the end of the season, they would have sat down and said, right, well, we've just been run through. I've been asking him to do this in the midfield, and it's too up. They can't do it. Well, it's not changed. So if it's not changed, the problem's not gone away. And everyone is on it now. And some people find the priority is now a midfielder more than a centre-forward.
Yeah, a lot of people getting involved. I think a few people were mentioning the lad from Brighton, is it Belabor, who they'd like to see come in this summer transfer window. 10-4 says Ugarte and Collier is the best we currently have to play in that midfield too. Dominica says we have too many 10s and no one in the middle. I mean, I've been quite surprised as well, really, with Dorgu on that left-hand side. I mean, you definitely notice the difference when Deleu's on that left-hand side compared then to Dorgu. He's getting up the pitch a lot more, I think, Dorgu, and giving you that out ball.
Yeah, but that's not the problem at this moment. That's not the problem. It's the midfield. You can talk about different positions and all that, and, you know, in a football chat, that's fine. But we're talking about Manchester United finishing 15th last year because the midfield was poor for a majority of the games, and games we should have won, we lost. Now, for me, I do not understand how this club did not sit down and identify that. I mean, I'm not the greatest person at analysing tactics, football and all that, but what I go from my eyes, and my eye test told me all last year, and I said it all last year, midfield's too wide open. Well, if I can see it, loads of people out there can see it. We're not all claiming to be the greatest people at analysing football, but at the end of the day, we're football fans. We're looking at a game of football, and what we've seen last year, yesterday, we've seen the same at times. And I have to reiterate, it was a friendly. It's good that it's been pointed out. It's good that we can all see it. But why hasn't the club rectified it at the end of the season? Baffles me.
Going into the chat, DB Cooper says, I know you boys gave up on Cesco, but I'm still alive and well on it. Well, that's up to you, mate.
I didn't give up on Cesco. I told you my opinion on Cesco based on the information out there. And I believed on the information out there, what I'm hearing, what I see, Cesco is going to Newcastle. And I said that Man United, according to everybody, we need to sell to buy. And that's what I base my opinion on. We need to sell to buy. All the tier one, as people call it, these journalists, are actually reiterating, sell. We need to sell to buy. And that's based on that's what I base my opinion on, why I don't believe we're going to get Cesco or anyone. I said it 3-4 months ago, that people inside the club, even Ruben Amorim, have said, we will have to sell.
I thought going into the summer transfer window as well, we only wanted players who wanted to come to Manchester United, but Cesco's having to take a few days to mull it over whether he wants to join us or Newcastle, and at the moment I'm just bored of it, I've got to be honest. You know, I've not got the same excitement that I did with Mbeumo and Cunha, two players who were publicly saying out there they want to join Manchester United and no one else, and I'm just not getting that feeling right now over Cesco, even though I do believe it's a striker we need over a midfielder, which some of yous out there might not agree with.
I'm not criticising Cesco for not shouting from the rooftops and he's not committed to Man United, because I believe that Cesco has chosen United, but unfortunately he's sat there as a young man. He wants his future sorted out, and United can't give him guarantees that they're going to be able to sort out a payment and a transfer fee with RB Leipzig based on the reports out there from the club, from the manager, and from good sources in the reporting world. Sell to buy. And that's what I'm saying. So he has to make his mind up. And I think the time's now to decide, okay, based on the information he knows. And he knows more information than we do.
If you want Cesco in, that's absolutely fine. We all know what to do with a striker in here at Manchester United, and let's hope he does make his decision after however many days it's took him to make that decision, and it's Manchester United. And then the sticking point is, can Manchester United agree a fee with Leipzig? But I'm sure we'll be discussing that in the next 24 to 48 hours again. So make sure you get them notifications on for any news around Benjamin Cesco. A lot of people still getting involved to do with the actual midfield too. I'm seeing Mainoo mentioned quite a bit, Ugarte, Casemiro, but I think everyone seems to agree that Bruno in that midfield too, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Ruben putting him there, for me, has never worked. And that mystifies me of why he's tried it in pre-season. Does he really know, or does he really trust other players? We know he trusts Bruno, but he's not giving what the team needs. So for me...
But the thing is in that midfield too as well, I mean, some of the games that I have seen recently in the pre-season, you see the two centre-backs, not the middle, the one on the left and the one on the right, they do push into midfield as well. So haven't they got the responsibility as well to be stepping into midfield to create that extra body in there as well, winning the duels and also being able to like make some space to receive balls and create attacks going forward? It looks like them pushing up.
Look, our criticism on that midfield is the way the players were set up and the way they attacked the game. They sat back, and you're talking about, and lots of other people say, we need the back to push up to the midfield all to push up forward. That didn't happen, right, throughout the game. It did in parts, but they didn't set up the stall at the start of the game to play like that. They played sitting back. And when we sit back, you only invite trouble. And we all said it. Everybody said it. You sit back, especially at Old Trafford, right, and you get caught out. The midfield gets caught out. And that's what happened at times in that game. Players sit back, midfield exposed. Oh, man away.
Giart says Italy's player of the year, McTominay, is a great versatile goal scorer. Apparently, he's a United fan too.
Yeah, well, he's a United fan too. Great player. And one player we never wanted to leave this club, and we always praised him and praised him for the last few years. And we have been slaughtered by people out there about McTominay. But none of them have come back to apologise and say, you was right, look at him, he's got the freedom. There you go. McTominay had it all in him. It just wasn't used on a regular basis or in the right way.
It's professionalism in training, setting standards, etc. I'm not saying he was ever going to be the main man at Manchester United, but it'd have been a great player to still have around the squad as well for me. But Patrick Shields, thanks for your super chat. Business is too slow. Bomb squad are to blame.
Well, are they to blame? No, they're not. The people who brought them in are to blame. The people in the background from years ago, they're the ones to blame. We've seen the culture, we've seen the standards, and everyone running this club for the last 10, 15 years, they're the ones to blame. Players, listen, give them an inch, they'll take a mile in any league, in any team.
I've never seen the chat go up so fast after just mentioning McTominay, and a lot of people getting involved with their opinions on Scott McTominay. But I think we're going to wrap it up there. Anything more to add, though, before we go?
No, I just think we've just got to wait for the next 48 hours, see if United have got money in the bank and put a bid in. And the bid everyone wants is a midfield player. If we get Cesco, that's fine. Okay? That was the discussion. That's the player they're targeting. Again, it's a number one target, but we all know what we need. And it's just baffling that this club hasn't made a midfield player a priority. So we're behind the curb on it, and we might struggle.
I mean, it depends on what you want to believe. The story's out there as well, but I still think there'd be a lot to do to try and get a deal done for Cesco, especially when you're hearing Rasmus Højlund's name in there, that they want to push him out the door, whether on a loan or actually get rid of him as well to bring in Cesco. But there's a lot of different news out there. You take a pick on what you believe, but carry on the conversation as well from today's video in the comments section. Smash a like on today's video to help support the channel, and we'll be back tomorrow, so get that notification on, and we'll see you live on Tuesday. Thanks all, and you take care.